Drakkon is Tommy Oliver from a universe in which he turned evil, but at the end of the day, he is still Tommy Oliver, one of, if not the best Power Ranger ever. And one group, the Omega Rangers, realizes this. The Omega Rangers are Jason, Trini, and Zach, and when we all thought that they went to the World Peace Conference, they actually got recruited into the Omega Rangers. This is a group that would protect the galaxy while the Power Rangers stayed on Earth and protected Earth. But recently, as their mission was coming to an end, they discovered an evil so great, they knew that they needed to stop it. So they went back to Earth to see what was going on, and they discovered that Zordon and the Power Rangers had captured Drakkon as he was fleeing from some great evil as well. Well, this means that the Omega Rangers need Drakkon. This is Comicstorian. We take the time to make you a comic book expert by filling you in on the big moments happening within the world of comics. We do cut out the B-plots, limit our panel usage to prevent copyright problems, and allow you to have something to read to yourself if you so choose to. I do recommend starting your own collection by going to your local comic book store or shopping online for them, or you can use one of our sponsors, Shortboxed, an app that allows you to start your collection of CGC-graded comic books today. Now, let's get into Power Rangers 2021 release, Volume 1. I hope you enjoy. While the real Tommy Oliver and the other Rangers are handling things on Earth, Jason, Zach, and Trini all hone their skills while still traveling through space aboard the Spectrum 2. As Trini manages to get the upper hand by knocking the other two off of their axis, she tells them that they need to focus on their perception. Speed and strength don't matter when there is no gravity. And after a few more hard-hitting slams and thuds, Z tells them that that is quite enough. He will be restoring gravity. Please mind your heads. As Zach sits back up, he looks over at Z and the giant alien tiger, stating that he doesn't want to be the bad guy here, but why did we let him out? Z says that Yale is no longer empowered, and therefore no longer requires imprisonment. But if he'd like to put him back in his bottle, you're more than welcome to try. Zach then says that no one else remembers that that thing tried to eat them. All I want to do is get home in one piece. Later down on Earth, on the beaches of Angel Grove, the Earthbound Rangers take a day to themselves when Zed and his minions focus on their next plan that the Rangers are ultimately going to thwart. As Rocky and Adam throw a frisbee, Rocky ends up tripping and falling into an oncoming wave. As the water is pulled back, Trini tells him that that isn't how a seaweed wrap works. Everyone is excited to see their friends have returned to Earth. And while they all assume it's a vacation, Jason informs them that it isn't and they need to speak to Zordon immediately. Back in the command center, he explains their encounter with the Imperial and how it massacred a planet with a population close to 12 million. Everyone begins to question what is going on and why this happened. Jason explains that they were hoping that Zordon or Alpha 5 might know something about it. Alpha scans through the file, stating that there is nothing in their database correlating to an Imperial. Zordon tells them that he doesn't know of it either. Kimberly brings up that they have Drakkon in the basement, that they have captured him when he arrived, and both Zach and Jason are stunned. Wait, Drakkon is here? So they explain that Drakkon crash-landed here rather recently, that he was running away from a great evil, something so evil, so terrible, so powerful. It had the mighty Lord Drakkon fleeing. So everyone heads downstairs to try to talk to Drakkon about what is going on, and after a little prodding and a little back and forth, he explains, the Imperials are ancient in ways that you cannot even fathom. The last time that I saw one, it tore one of your silly emissaries in half, like it was made of tissue paper. And as much as I hate to admit it, Tommy is right. You are all wasting time because the Imperials are coming. And when they finally make their way to Earth, and they will, I'll be sitting here, watching it all burn. As they head back upstairs, Zach explains to Zordon that they need Drakkon. He's the only one with information as to who the Imperials are. But Zordon tells them, no. Taking Drakkon is out of the question. I and Alpha 5 will aid you however we can. Jason tries to interrupt. Drakkon is our only lead, Zordon. Why can't you trust us? But Zordon stops him, shouting, I've been protecting the universe for over 10,000 years, and Drakkon is the closest I have ever been to losing it. I will not risk that happening again for any reason. You are no longer Power Rangers, therefore no longer under my purview. He stays. Is that understood, Jason? The next day, everyone hits up the juice bar to try and figure out a new plan, but as Trini explains why they need Drakkon, Tommy sides with Zordon, telling her that getting Drakkon out is too much of a risk. If something were to go wrong, it would be on her. But Trini asks, what about the people who will get hurt because they don't do anything? Then who is it on? Whose fault will it be if they don't stop the Imperial? They weren't there to see this thing and what it can do. It wiped out an entire planet, all gone, just like that, Tommy. Don't we have an obligation to try and stop that from happening again? Not everyone here is lucky enough to have the Power Rangers watching over them. Later, while everyone says their goodbyes for the night, Kimberly tells Trini to make sure that they text when they get home, and Rocky yells to Zach that tomorrow he's going to teach him some hip-hop keto. Jason says that was fun, and Trini says that it was nice getting to hang out like the old days. And after a few moments of silence, Zach finally speaks up, asking if they are really going to break out Drakkon. So that night, Jason and the others teleport into the command center, and Jason asks if they were detected. And Z tells him that he has a quantum processor that allows him to perform computer problems man hasn't even dreamed of yet. He's relatively confident that he can teleport them into a closet. The three sneak out and avoid Alpha's security measures until finally reaching Drakkon's cell. As they enter, Drakkon laughs, telling them, "It's nice to see that somebody finally came to their senses." And Jason cuts down the cell door, telling Zach to shut down the containment field and telling Trini to deactivate Drakkon's collar. He wants to be out of here in 60 seconds. Drakkon steps out, telling them, "Depending on the speed of your ship, I know a place where the Imperials will never find us." Jason tells him, "Actually, you're going to help us find the Imperials. Welcome to the Omega Rangers." But as the Rangers are getting ready to leave, everyone hears the tall tale sign of Alpha 5. "Ay, ay, ay!" Alpha 5 walks forward, stating, "I don't want to hurt you, but please return Drakkon to his cell." Jason, Zach, and Trini try to reason with him, explaining their position. But Drakkon rushes forward, punching Alpha 5, launching him into the wall. Jason grabs Drakkon. "Don't you ever touch Alpha again, ever!" And Drakkon tells him, "He's a robot. He'll be fine. Now we can either sit here and help the silly robot friend, or we can escape and save the universe. But we only have time for one, so what's it gonna be? My fellow Omega Rangers." After getting the reports back, Zordon appears asking what is happening. And then he sees Alpha and turns to Jason with lightning in his eyes. "This is a betrayal of everything that we stand for. If you take Drakkon, I will not hesitate to unleash everything at my disposal to stop you." Jason turns to Zordon. "Your way is not the only way, Zordon. Perhaps you've been on Earth so long you can't see that anymore. And for what it's worth, we're sorry. It didn't have to be like this." And with that, the Omega Rangers got out with Drakkon. Now, after acquiring Drakkon and putting him in their holding cell and getting the information that they need out of him, Jason asks how long until they arrive at their destination. Z plots a course, telling him that it's hard to say, at least 12 hours. Jason laughs, telling him that they wouldn't want things to be too easy, now would they? Z tells him no. He made sure that when he stole Drakkon, he turned them into intergalactic outlaws. Jason tells him that they've been over this. Drakkon is a valuable resource, but Z stops him. "I don't question the logic, only the execution." Jason then yells that the Blue Emissary chose him to lead for a reason. "You may not like it, but..." And Z stops him. "The Blue Emissary is not a god. He has made his share of mistakes. His biggest was blindly trusting the wrong person, and you stabbed him in the back. So you'll forgive me if I intend on not watching that happen again." But as soon as everyone goes about their business on board the ship suddenly loses power and begins to drift in space. As everyone gets to the bridge, Z explains that the cells are draining and the engines are unresponsive and they're losing terminal velocity. It appears that Drakkon has led them into a trap. Everyone begins to argue, but it's Jason who puts in a voice of reason. Drakkon's a sociopath, not suicidal. So they begin to go and have a look at what is going on, and it's Trini who goes down to look at the engines and finds strange scratches and corrosion on the terminal. She spins around, hearing hissing, and sees a large, shadowy figure looming over her. "I can smell your fear, and it's delicious." Trini suits up, telling everyone that she's got the intruder. Who is he, and how did he get on their ship? But suddenly more eyes begin to open behind the figure, and the man says, "We've come to feast." Z calls out, asking if she's alright, but he looks through the scans again and tells the others that they've got intrusions across multiple decks, engaging lockdown protocols. Jason yells out to wait. He and Zach will converge on Trini's location, but as he turns and heads down the hallway, he begins to hear the hissing as more of those vampiric creatures appear in front of them. Jason asks if they're the ones sucking all the batteries dry. "Well, if you want this battery, you can knock yourselves out." As Jason gets ready to swing his battery pack, one of the creatures lunges forward, grabbing a hold of his helmet and begins to crush and break pieces of it off. Jason smacks the creature with the battery and then turns and begins to run down the corridor where Z is setting up the lockdown. Jason tells him to hold on for just 2 seconds so that he can, and he jumps, sliding beneath the closing metal shutter, narrowly getting out of range of the hungry hands that are still reaching out towards him. Z goes back to his computer and tries to help direct the Rangers out of their own situations, but then he asks Zach, "Where are you? Your signal is hard to pick up on." Zach is actually crawling through the air ducts, telling him, "Shh, I'm playing hide and seek with a bunch of space vampires, so maybe you might want to keep things quiet for a second." But then a hand breaks through, grasping for him, and Zach springs out. Okay, so much for that plan of attack. Cover's blown. We're going to have to fight our way through them. However, as Zach throws his sickle, the blade passes through the creatures and he sighs. Great, weapons go right through them. Soon, all of the creatures charge in, grabbing a hold of him, but then along with the hissing, there's a peculiar growl. Yale sits up on his hind legs and swipes, forcing the creatures to dissipate, and as Zach falls back, he laughs. Okay, good doggy. Over with Trini, she tries fighting off her own pack of energy vampires, but sees that her weapon is having little effect on them. So she comes up with another plan, telling them that she's sorry for this. She has a really stupid idea. She throws her hammer past the creature, smacking it into the airlock, causing it to release and open, sucking both Trini and the creatures out into space. Z shouts, stating that the shuttle bay just depressurized. Are you okay? And Trini tells him, yeah, that was me. Decided to take the boy out for a little walk. Meanwhile, back at the holding cells, Drakkon is laughing. I don't think they're entirely sure what they got themselves into, but I'd be more than willing to help. Z? Chi? Whatever your name is? Hello? But then the hissing sound can be heard, and the leader of the energy vampires tells him, I can smell your life. And my children, they want a taste. Drakkon sits up. Well, I'm rather partial to my life, so maybe, if we got to know each other, who and what are you? A hand breaks through the force field, grabbing Drakkon by the head. We are the Horrid, and we are hungry. The leader begins to suck the life out of Drakkon. And your spirit tastes of sorrow, but your will is delicious. Drakkon tries yelling out, hey, we're on the same side here. There are no sides, only life, and it was made to be devoured. Drakkon begins to scream as his soul is literally being ripped out of him. If it's life you want, I can get you more! Spare me, O mighty Horrid King, and I will give you planets and galaxies bursting with life. The Horrid King picks the Drakkon up off the ground. You're going to feed us now! Of course, I can think of several places that would be. And with that, the Horrid King drags Drakkon off, as he declares that the ship is now their home, and that Drakkon is now their servant. While Drakkon is taken away, Z gets to work trying to help Trini up, resealing the shuttle bay, telling her that if she ever launches herself and a multitude of aliens out of the airlock again, he will leave her there. I trust that you are okay. Trini tells him that she is fine, just needed to step out for some air. Did she miss anything? And Z tells her no. All still alive, for the next few minutes anyway. Jason and Zach walk up, with Zach stating that if everyone but him starts cracking jokes, they're gonna be in some real deep trouble. Just to make sure that he's not crazy or anything, this is an invasion of space vampires, right? Z tells him that interdimensional parasitic life forms may be more accurate. But for how they got here, they appear to be multi-phasic entities. So it's possible that they latched onto the ship as they passed through the system. Now the creatures seem to be drawn to energy, so to remove them, they must provide something with a power source more appetizing to them. He may have some inside information on how to do that, but it will require an exceptional amount of trust. Jason says that he doesn't know about the others, but every decision that he has made has led them here. So, I'm open to following someone else's lead for a change. Z explains his plan, and the Rangers are sent back to the airlock, where they open it up. As they jump out, the energy vampires, the Horrid, begin to attack them again. But Zach grabs Jason, whipping him around, launching him ahead of the pack using Z, as he asks, are you sure that this is going to work? Z tells him, not in the slightest. What else have they got? Seconds later, Jason calls his red Omegazord in, and as the Horrid King looks at it, he asks, what is that? And Drakkon tells him, that is what I was afraid of. Send everything you have at it now. Suddenly, the Horrid aboard the ship begin to phase out of it. They begin to fly towards the Zord. But as they get close, Jason activates his defenses, forming an energy barrier to try and keep those creatures back. The Horrid King laughs, telling him that he is a fool. The machine draws my children like a flame. Go! Consume! Drink in your fill! Drakkon stares for a moment and then realizes something. He asks, with so many of his children out there, who's left to protect us? Z then appears, telling him, I was about to ask the same question, rhetorically of course. You really should learn to control your appetite. Now surrender and call off your dogs, or I will take off the leash. The Horde King bursts out laughing. I will tear you to pieces! We are the Horde, and this universe will know our... Suddenly his words stop, and Drakkon stabs the Horde King in the back with a pipe, as the king says to him, You treacherous dog! We could have ruled the universe. Drakkon pulls the pipe back out. Don't worry, I still intend to. As all of the Horde are severed from their link to their king, they begin to scream in pain, and Zack asks what happened, Z. Z says that it wasn't him. Drakkon just stabbed the leader in the back. Drakkon holds up his hand, stating, Sounds like he got the message. And Z says that the collar has been broadcasting everything that he has said. Was that on purpose? Drakkon asks him, How else could I help you? I make for a rather convincing turncoat. Now, whatever plan you have to get us out of here, consider me more than happy to help. Once everything on the spectrum is back up online, they continue their voyage, with Jason stating that Drakkon was feeding him information the entire time. Z tells him that he calculated a 53% chance that Drakkon's intel was authentic, and if he divulged the source, an emotional bias might keep them from utilizing it. It was only a mathematical variable alternative. Jason says not to worry. I don't question your logic, just your execution. And Z sighs. I suppose I deserve that. Soon, the Rangers arrive at their destination, and as the spectrum descends on a destroyed world, the closer that they get, the Rangers begin to see the wreckage of a white Tiger Zord and a green Dragon Zord, and a sign that reads, Welcome to Angel Grove, home of Lord Drakkon. And that concludes most of Volume 1. Now, the next issue jumps into another story arc, so it's kind of getting a little weird to break this one up into the proper volumes. But don't worry, when we jump back to the Omega Rangers, which will be very soon, we will pick up right where this left off, going on to a journey to a dystopian alternate universe version of Angel Grove. But make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell, because next week we're going to be continuing our storyline of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the week after that we're going to check back in on Tommy and the other Power Rangers back on Earth to see what is going on with an Angel Grove that is trapped in a glass bottle and a brand new Green Ranger. Thank you so much for your continued support right here, and if you want to get early access to these videos with many other, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian. See you guys next time, right here.